All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. We're here on a Taco Tuesday morning. How you doing this morning,
Hey,
brother?
brother. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here. We want to give a shout out to everybody that's joining us online right now this morning. With this time change, man, it really messed me up. I feel like I'm still recovering from it. I got over here this morning. It was still nice and dark and,
Yeah.
and whatnot. I didn't really want to get out of bed and all that, and then I'm staying up a little bit later. But it's only been 2 days into this, and man, I'm still.
Yeah. Well, we'll get with it here. Our bodies will catch up. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. And before we kick it off, Manny, I just want to encourage people out there that are watching us, that are listening. You know, hey, life right now is certainly interesting to say the least. It's good for a lot of us, but some folks are going through stuff. And I just want to remind you that the Lord God, Creator of the universe, knows you. He loves you. He cares about you. He's watching over you. There is no problem too large, no problem too small that God cannot solve. And He always works together, all things together, for the good of those that love Him and are called according to His purpose. So I just want to encourage you this morning.
Hey, good word, man. Every morning I wake up and I thank the Lord for waking me up, in the morning and for a new day and trusting in Him. And even though things are the way they are right now, we do know that the Scriptures assure us that He is over the flood. He's aware of all these things. He knows the end from the beginning and what is happening in our lives. And so it's just up to us to put our trust in Him. But it's also important that we get involved in our communities. I'm always reminded, Frank, during everything that's going on right now, of Ezra and Nehemiah, building the wall, one hand on the wall, one hand on the sword, and willing to defend their land, but at the same time work and get involved and encourage people. Nehemiah was a governor, as well as a prophet, and Ezra was a governor as well as a prophet, and so in encouraging people not only to trust in God, but to come and work together, right, to defend what is right, and I feel like many times that's what we're doing here, today, and with this program, is getting out there and getting our voices heard and defending what is right. We see what's happening in our country today, Frank. We just, I don't know, you've been reading what's happening in Florida. Governor DeSantis, helped pass that bill to help, restrict certain sex education curriculum from going into pre-K into kindergartners, and people are misconstruing that, and it seems like they're just trying to impose so much sin, really,
sin, and part of the way they do it, Manny, is through the media and also, getting into people's heads and getting into their heads and eventually down into their hearts. And what do I mean by that? Propaganda.
Yeah.
Propaganda. If they put it out, consistently, they put out a false message, or even, more effectively, I would say, because this is a tactic of the enemy to sprinkle a central truth, a smidgen of truth, wrap it up in a lie.
Right.
People are more likely to believe it, to accept it. Once it gets into your heart and it sinks down into your head and down into your heart, folks, it's hard to get rid of it. It's hard to work against that because sin has an effectiveness to it. Yeah. It's alive. Sin is alive in our mortal bodies. And that's why we need the Lord. That's why we need redemption through the blood of Christ. But that's also why we need to get immersed in the Word of God.
Amen. Amen.
And to seek to live a godly, biblical, centric life. But they will use propaganda. The enemy uses lies. He started in the garden. Ever since he's infected humanity to it. So whenever you see or hear something, compare it to the light of the truth, to the Word of God. Compare it, and let the Holy Spirit, let the Word of God talk to you as to whether it's true. There's a lot of people. I hate to use this, but we cannot be gullible, folks. As citizens, as believers, we cannot be gullible. The time we hear a report, and just run with it. Hey, let it be compared in your spirit, in your mind, in your thoughts. Rational man, analytical thinking persons. Let it be compared to the word of truth, to what you know to be facts. And if there's a question about it, research.
Right, and we have that right. We have that right to question things. That's what's beautiful about being in America. To question things, to investigate things, and sadly to say, Frank, today, man, the government, the administration that's in place right now is trying to prevent that,
Yeah.
trying to prevent from people finding out the facts, trying to prevent from people finding out the truth, and being, having your own mind. But what's even worse, Frank, is that citizens are willing to give up that freedom.
Yeah.
And we see all these videos and these, I'm inundated with videos just about every day from a lot of people that are sending, and not saying that, hey, stop sending me these things, but a lot of people send me videos of what's happening. People are just, going after other people for not wearing a mask, where the mask mandates aren't in place anymore. Going after people that haven't gotten the vaccine, that haven't been vaxxed, and then just believing the false narratives, and then trying to impose those false narratives on other people, and restricting our way of thinking, and even those who work in government. Like, I want to thank, those of you who are watching us on Old Patrol headquarters right now, as well on other places. Those Border Patrol agents. Frank and I, former Border Patrol, retired. And former military as well.
Chaplains.
And chaplains in the Border Patrol, but I've always felt that we even though you have the badge, you're bound by the badge, you're bound by the law, you should have your own mind, and you should have the right and the ability to speak and to say things and to call things for what they are.
And Manny, this is a theme that I wrestle with, and I brought it up when I was a Border Patrol. We started as ground pounders. I went on to become a supervisor, assistant chief program manager, etc. But the thing about it is that we have to, in law enforcement and in government service, military, etc. We can never forget that central to who we are, and it happens usually on day one, is American citizens who swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
And that Constitution is part of a whole body of who we are, what we are as Americans, and a Judeo-Christian foundation of our nation, our Constitution, our history leading up to the formation of our nation. It's all based on this concept that we are free people with a mind given by God.
Right.
And that we are to seek Him, so that perhaps we can find Him, as it says in Acts chapter 17. But He wants us to search, and we used to have this conversations in the Border Patrol, bro, about our loyalty.
Right.
Our loyalty has to be to the Constitution, to the people of this nation, not necessarily to a bureaucratic boss, not necessarily to a chief or a secretary, or even the president, when that could probably get me in trouble, when they are violating the Constitution.
Yeah.
When they're violating the Constitution, when they're lying to our faces, when they are deceiving millions of Americans, and deceiving the world, and dishonoring God, because it's a biblical concept, honey, that the Lord puts these people, kings and princes and the rulers, for His purpose,
right,
ultimately. But while in that role, they are to serve the people,
right,
and take care of the people, and see what the needs are, and ensure that the whole of government is really geared towards working for the people. And right now we're in a despotic, tyrannical administration. That's a perfect segue into one of the first things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, a while back, DHS came out with this memo. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching us right now, especially the old patrollers and current law enforcement and those who are serving in DHS are maybe familiar with. I'm going to put this up on the screen here real quick. A while back, and actually just last month, DHS came out with this summary of terrorism threat to the United States homeland, to the U.S. homeland, and it's not about really enemies coming in, Frank, or terrorists coming in. Yeah. It's summarizing those who proliferate a false or misleading narrative by their own words, which sow discord or undermine the public trust of the United States, U.S. government institutions, which is, Frank, basically telling us, if we go out there and talk against the vax, or or talk about anything the government is doing right now as far as mandates and whatnot, that's sowing discord.
Yeah, and if you could throw up that other picture, it basically says that if you question the results of the 2020 election and question the COVID, story being put out by the government,
Right.
that potentially you're a terrorist. Now, this is not new to you folks that are out there doing research. That have your finger in the pulse of what's happening in our country. Look, it's real. It's our government turning inwardly towards its own citizens with a critical, eye towards its own citizens, people who are not lining up and marching to the drumbeat that they want us to march to. And see, that's the entire premise, of why our nation was birthed, bro.
Right.
Because we had a tyrannical king, and our founding fathers, that small percentage of colonists said this is not God's plan for mankind.
Right, right, and here in this article, I like the headline is that DHS says COVID misinformation is inspiring terrorism, but won't provide any evidence. I'll throw that right back up on the screen again.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, is that they've been asked over and over again, and that's what we were talking about right before the program. Is like who determines what is misinformation, right?
Yeah.
Who determines what is misinformation? Because even scientists, right? Even scientists can't agree.
Yeah.
Right. The CDC can't agree.
Yeah.
Right. On what is misinformation and what is true and what is whatnot. Even we haven't heard from Fauci for a while since
thank God.
as the elections are coming up, and all of a sudden all these mandates are being taken back, lifted. But who determines that?
Well, and see, the government wants to be the one that determines that, of course, man. But look, that's why we have doctors and scientists and all manner of folks, of people who have made the sciences their life, but yet who have held on, Manny, to a central moral foundation.
Right.
They have not allowed the true essence of science to seek, to search, to question.
Yeah.
And sometimes what has happened here is that questioning has perhaps shown has shown the truth. When they looked for it, they found the truth, but because it does not fit their ideological view of the world, it shatters them, it bothers them, and so a lot of these people choose to disregard it,
Right.
because it does not fit their ideological agenda, and they'll continue to twist. So that's why it's imperative that every citizen, every American, every citizen of this world be continually questioning and researching. And there's a lot of things that are coming to light, pertaining to the jab there. There's a lot of research now, empirical data that is being gathered, bro,
Yeah.
on its effect, on its effectiveness, what it's doing to the human physiological makeup. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
It's disturbing. And so that the DHS under, Secretary Mayorkas, who we know is a traitor to America, we know that he is listening to his overlords, and he is hell-bent on, opening our borders. We, in effect, have no borders.
Right.
And so they're streaming across. And now, with the conflict in Ukraine and Russia, they're streaming across.
Right.
And people need to ask that, Manny, the same media that pushed the jab narrative turned all eyes and ears towards the Ukraine issue.
Yeah.
I mean, look, folks, I have no doubt there's conflict going on out there. I have no doubt that there's people being displaced. I have no doubt that there's people dying. But you need to question the motive of the media.
Right.
What is the media's motive? Because we know now, bro,
Yeah.
that a few exception of a handful of journalists who have stuck to their principles, journalistic integrity, they're gonna, get to the facts and allow it, and not allow as much as possible for their ideological viewpoint to get into their reporting.
Right.
But this same media is pushing, has put out this stories on the Ukraine, and so you need to research it. What is really going on? And when I say that, Manny, I mean get into the history of the Ukraine. Get into this former Russian. These people have been aligned and have ties that go back centuries.
Yep.
This is not a conflict within our lifetime here. The conflict in that region goes back centuries, and so you really need to dig down into what is driving
Right.
this conflict out there. But anyways, it's a bit of a tangent, but it comes back to they're flooding now into our country. Recently, bro, the numbers have been crazy.
2.8 million, I think I heard last night.
Wow, brother.
Displaced Ukrainians coming, leaving the country over there, and headed. A lot of them are headed this way, and what's amazing, amazing to me is, of course, and I'm all for helping displaced people, and because we know some people that are over there in the Ukraine. There's some synagogues, Messianic Jewish synagogues that are over there that are asking for help. That our organization has been helping and whatnot and praying for. But the reality is too, Frank, is that there is a corrupt government in the Ukraine.
Yes.
In the Ukraine, and it seems like two corrupt governments are fighting one another. Yeah. And I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but it's amazing to me that the media has come to the defense of Ukraine so quickly and thrown away any defense and disregard any defense of our borders, of American borders. And even the administration that's in place right now, the open borders policy. Well, actually, no policy, really. No policy. And again, I pray for what's happening in Ukraine. I pray for the people that are being displaced over there. Because in my opinion, this wouldn't have happened if Trump was still president. Yeah. If Trump is still in office, and he had proved that. Putin tried some stuff during the Trump administration. Trump called him on it. Took out some some people as well, and Putin backed off. But now we're seeing what not only Russia, but we're hearing noise from North Korea. We're hearing noise from China. Because this administration is weak.
Yeah, and Manny, what happens, folks? Look, you got to think big picture here. Think big picture, and so what I mean by that is, what this geopolitical events are taking place all over the world. You've got to ask. How does that affect America? This is our home, brother.
Yeah.
How does that affect us? Yeah, at the end, how does it affect us personally here? But how does it affect America? We are currently under an administration that has no policies on the border other than just wide open coming in. We will get rid of effective measures and tools that was securing the home. Now we're going to get rid of that. They threw out the Trump, actions that were working and dealing with that, with the border issues. So you've got to say, how does this affect America? Well, look this way. The Ukraine has been known to be a haven for criminal activity.
Yep.
Think Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
Think as simple as that, folks. And so you've got to question, what is the deeper ulterior motive? Whenever there is war anywhere in the world, folks, it's not a very simple, I don't like the way you look, let's go to war here. There's going to be political issues, economic issues, there's going to be a political strategy to it. So why is this conflict? What does it mean for America? Well, for one, war causes death, chaos, destruction, but it causes displacement.
Right.
And so right now we have a government that is seeking to flood our nation. And so it's very very convenient now to say, come to America, because there are no borders. Flood our nation. Look, we dropped untold number of Afghans into our country, many who did not have criminal background checks. They just got picked up and dumped into America. And so now they're creating this awareness to those people over there, bypass Eastern Europe, bypass Western Europe, bypass, that side of the pond over there, and come to America.
And all those countries are saying, go to the United States because,
we don't want you here. We can't handle you here. This is going to strain our resources.
Right.
But yet America is supposed to be able to handle this, brother, with our skyrocketing inflation. We don't have fuel here in the quantities that we should have, because we sit on the biggest oil reserves in the world.
I heard a comment yesterday from an political expert yesterday, and he said, right now, if the United States shut its doors to everybody, we would still have the largest oil reserve in the world right now. And this administration, it seems like this administration just purposely is working towards the destruction of the United States of America. Purposely. And sad to say, Frank, I've been asking this question. I was asking this question the other day. Where the heck are the Republicans?
Oh my God! So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick here. Where are the Republicans? There's a few holdouts out there. There are a few people, some names that come to mind: Lauren Biebert, Paul Gosar, Lance Gooden, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz. There's a few people, even right here in Texas. You could say Chip Roy, that are railing against the machine, that are at least speaking out, not in unison, with Kevin McCarthy and his establishment hacks, also known as Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Look, there was an interview, and I've been saying we're going to throw it out there. I need to throw it out there, Manny. But there's an interview where he was with Fox, and he's asked right now, if you had all the power, to tell Biden what to do about the situation in Russia. If you had all the power, you could do it right now to deal with this right now. You had all the power. The interviewer says that three times. If you had all the power, what would you do about that situation? And this is what Tony Gonzalez says, bro. Literally, he says, last year there were X amount of Russians that illegally entered the United States. Right now, we need to tell the Russians to come into America.
Wow.
Bro, and we're going to throw it out there. I'm not just saying it. Look, folks, by now you should know that if I say something, I'm going to source it. I'm not just going to pull it out of the air or pull it out anywhere. There is a basis for this. And in this case, it is Tony's own words. And I'm going to be posting that today. We've been, busy with other stuff, but I'm going to throw it out. So I say that, Manny, to answer your question, where are the Republicans? Yeah. Well, in this case, they are working hand in hand with the socialists. Tony Gonzalez is a George Soros puppet. We all know that. Yeah. We've proven that he's linked to George Soros through LULAC, through IPAC Internet.
And the second most liberal Republican out there.
Right behind Kevin McCarthy. So they are working hand in hand. In this case, Tony Gonzalez is a very effective socialist. And that's why he's attacking me, Manny. We're talking about this. He's attacking me. Why? Why is he not attacking his Democrat opponent? Because they're both Democrats. They're both Democrats, bro.
And why aren't the Democrats saying anything? The Democrats aren't even calling this guy out.
They're not even calling Tony out, brother. It's already, there was a establishment, a groupie group down south that loves, Tony Gonzalez and some of these other establishment folks. They were crowing about the fact that the Democrats have said, we're not going to go after CD23 because Tony Gonzalez is just too strong. No, Tony Gonzalez is a Democrat. He's a very effective socialist. Yeah. He works with Nancy Pelosi and them. As a matter of fact, he just voted on a gun control issue right here.
Yeah, let me put this up on this.
Manny's going to put it up. He's one of 39 Republicans, folks, that voted for gun control. Again, this is the second time he's done it since he's been.
House of Representatives passes gun control to override state Second Amendment sanctuary laws, right? And way down here, let's see, where's he at? There he is, Tony Gonzalez, right? Republican Texas voted yes.
Right, hand in hand with his buddy Anthony Gonzalez out of Ohio, who you remember is one of those that voted to impeach Trump. Yeah. So it must be a Gonzalez thing here to backstab Trump, to betray America. It must be a Gonzalez thing, at least for these two guys, to slam, the very principles.
House Republicans right here, House Republicans who voted for gun control. And 39 Republicans in the House of Representatives voted for a criminal investigation to 100% of false positive background check denials for your local police to be deputized as ATF agents.
So this is a Gun Owners of America, folks. So let's bring it down to the nuts and bolts. What does this mean for you? Say you go buy a weapon. You're down at a gun show. You're at a gun store or even a pawn shop, and you see a weapon that you want to buy. So they'll have their method, whether it's a laptop, a little kiosk, or whatever, for you to do a background check. Enter the information so that your background can be checked. If for whatever reason, it comes back that you're not allowed, for whatever reason. It could be anything, bro. It could be a traffic ticket. It could be, whatever is information is in the system there's reasons that people don't pass those background checks when they're wanting to buy a weapon.
Here's I'll give you a prime example. Me, I'm a former law enforcement, former military, but because my name is so common, Manuel Rodriguez Jr., sometimes they have to I get denied once, and then they have to resubmit it because my name is so common.
Yeah, that is a common assurance incident. It has happened, a common occurrence, folks. It has happened. So what happens with this law right there? Look, and you got it at the point where you were reading earlier, Manny. It says 100%. So right there. So basically, what it's saying right there, folks, is that if you, for some reason, do not pass that background check, You could have forgotten to put a period or the a wrong digit on your address,
Right.
whatever. They're calling for 100% criminal investigation
Wow, bro.
into that person. You are to be investigated as a criminal. And
Yeah.
Tony Gonzalez voted for
And
this.
let's look at that, how deep that can go. You say you're at it, you're trying to apply for a government job. You're trying to apply
Oh my God.
for
Yeah.
any type of job. And one of the questions on there: have you ever been investigated criminally for anything? You get a false positive, Frank. This is going to ruin people's livelihood.
It
You know,
is.
100% false positive background. You're going to be investigated criminally. It says here for criminal investigations into it. So you're applying for a job. Let's say you're applying for a promotion,
Yeah.
right, within your government or your federal job, right, or anything. And next thing you know, you come up with a criminal investigation on your record because of a false positive. And sadly, 39 Republicans didn't look deep into this, didn't put any thought into this, you know. And here we have Tony Gonzalez, who's from Texas, right?
Yeah.
Who's from Texas,
The gun state.
the gun state, and he votes yes.
Yeah, and the other troubling aspect about the man, if you show that real quick, the top of that, what you were reading earlier, is also that it would give ATF authority to local law enforcement. And some folks would say, "Well, well, that's a good thing. You know, let's give our local law enforcement another duty. You know, let's give them ATF jurisdiction." Well, first of all, brother, for years now, just not under this Biden administration, this tyrannical, despotic, socialist administration, you know, but for years now. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the leadership, not necessarily the men and women on the ground, though. I'll tell you what, man, there is something to be said, Manny, about pervading certain dynamics within a culture. So within the culture of ATF, there is certainly an anti-gun ownership by American dynamic at work in the ATF.
Yeah, actually, you know, in during the Trump administration, the Trump administration called them out several times, right, for some of the things that they had tried to do. And what's amazing to me is, look at this first headline here. I'll put it back up on the screen here. Yesterday, under the cover of darkness, right, congressional Democrats released a 2,741-page government funding bill at 1:30 a.m. under the cover of darkness, and of course, 39 Republicans voted with these Democrats.
Yeah.
And you know, folks, when people ask me how to vote, I first tell them, don't vote Democrat. Don't vote Democrat. The Democrats are the ones who ruined this country. I'm not saying the Republican Party is the one who's going to save it.
Yeah.
But I also say, you know, because generally I vote Republican, but I vet my candidates as well. You vet them. You look at their voting record. You know, the first few months that Tony Gonzalez was in office, actually one of the first votes that he voted yes on was the January 6th commission. And I'm going to continue pointing that fact out because that January 6th commission is still having repercussions even to this day. A year and a few months later, it's still having repercussions on the American people because we just found out just a few weeks ago, actually a few days ago, that now they're looking at the visitors logs, right? This so-called commission that
On January
on January 6th that Pelosi and other Democrats had put together. Now they're looking at the visitor logs of who was at the White House on January 6th. And guess what they want to do? They want to investigate those people. And we even have people that are still locked up.
Yeah, I was just reading, Manny, this morning actually about a guy. His nickname is Rooster. I don't remember his first name or his real name, but that guy was actually down here in Brackenville when he got picked up, bro. And he was held at the Valverde Correctional Facility here for a few hours. Don't know the guy, never met the guy or anything like that, but we did receive a text asking for if we could find him a Bible, take him a Bible. Now the chaplain may have been, they have chaplains, etc. For whatever reason, and so my son actually purchased one, and so we went over there. We wanted to give it to that guy or hand it over to the chaplain and stuff, but he had been spirited away, bro. They had him here for a little bit. They took him to Oklahoma, and now he's up in D.C. and. Look, there's already been one J6 detainee who committed suicide because they are treating him worse than Al-Qaeda terrorists. They're treating him worse than freaking terrorists from the Middle East, bro. They're treating him worse than anybody being held down in
And it's sad
Guantanamo.
because numerous investigations have determined that the January 6th event wasn't an insurrection, right?
It's already come out. There were FBI informants in the crowd and stuff. I mean, folks, look, you got to question. The other thing, and I just want to circle back to it so we don't lose a thought. What is necessarily harmful, Manny, about ATF giving its authority to local law enforcement agencies. Folks, it's not. First of all, remember that I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Well, look, what this is, it's the power grab, bro.
Right.
They are extending their power down to the local level, police department, sheriff's office, given power from the ATF, who is already proven to be called out by Trump administration, et cetera, over the years by, gun right advocates, watchdog groups, grassroots groups. Beware of the ATF, their efforts to take weapons away from American citizens. Why? Because a disarmed citizenry is a citizenry that is ready to be taken over, and we have seen it, folks. That a nation that can defend itself. What are Democrats and rhinos, establishment hacks right now doing? Send weapons to the Ukraine, give them guns, give them weapons, give them ammunition.
Yeah.
But yet, meanwhile, under the cover of darkness, they're trying to take our guns, and they want your friends, your family, your neighbors, your cops, your sheriff's deputies to be their tool. So we're talking now to our brothers and sisters in arms. We're saying beware of the bureaucratic bosses that want to use you as their tool. They want you to disregard the Constitution. They want you to come against your fellow American citizens. You need to be awake. You need to be aware. You need to be ready, and informed.
And we have a guy running for governor right now, the Democratic side, Francis O'Rourke,
Oh,
who has said numerous times, he said during one of the presidential debates that, yes, he's going to come after our AR-15. So what he do right now, he starts, which doesn't stand for assault rifle. If we have any liberals and leftists and Democrats watching this right now, AR-15 does not stand for assault rifle, right? And it's the initials of the maker, right? And so anyway, but if they deputize local law enforcement, all that's going to take is for some liberal police chief or some liberal sheriff, to determine an investigation, and they'll not only will seize or investigate you, but could seize all your weapons.
Yeah, brother. This is you need to be awake. You need to be aware. Go to Gun Owners of America. Gun Owners of America. We will provide the link here in a few moments after the show. But go to Gun Owners of America and look up what they've got going on there. There's a call to action right now to contact your senators, and actually. We may have already been too late. I need to go research it, but I know that there was a flurry of activity about that, and I saw something where 18 senators, Republican senators, voted with the Democrats, with Nancy Pelosi and the Socialists, bro, in favor of gun control. So look, folks, it's not that we hate any one party in particular. We despise the people who are trying to destroy America.
Yeah.
That's what we're after. But sadly, Manny, and many have awakened this primary season, this recent election that just took place in March, where people are realizing that it's not the Democrat versus Republican, bro. What it is, folks, is establishment versus free-willed Americans. Right. The globalist establishment. Those forces that are working together, whether it's George Soros and his puppet Tony Gonzalez right here in Congress, in Senate, Congressional District 23, or whether it's Nancy Pelosi and Biden, Schumer working, using that their platform to destroy America. But there's other players, and it's the establishment against free will people.
I was reading this, Frank. I was just thinking, it says here that Missouri, states like Missouri and Idaho have passed the strongest Second Amendment protection laws. And same with like Tennessee. Texas is supposed to be a big time, Second Amendment sanctuary. But the reality too is, like, I don't know how well Abbott's going to react or respond to this in regards to protection, because it did take some arm twisting, right, to even pass constitutional carry over here.
Yeah.
Right.
It took the voice and the will of the people, and so there you go, man. That is the key, folks. That is the key. We started off this morning, asking God to be involved in our lives, thanking Him for our miracles and His graciousness to us. But He does call us to action. You use the example of Nehemiah, where you build a wall, you build your home, your life, you work on your family, you work on your relationship. You build, the essence of your life. But the whole time you're already armed with the knowledge and the Word of God. But also, brother, it's part of being American,
Yeah.
being American, that we fight for what is right. We fight for our independence. This nation was birthed in the crucible of war. It was forged in the fire
Right.
of war, of conflict. You know, Texas was birthed the same way. And inside of us, as Texans, as Americans, burns that passion, that will to be free. And actually, brother, let's expand on that, because that's in the hearts of free will people around the
Oh
world.
yeah. Yeah.
Around the world.
Yeah.
That is why you have people that want to break out of the chains. They want to break out of slavery. They want to break out of oppression. Bear witness to Canada and what happened there. You know, what happens all over the world. People want to be free. And so that's why we as Americans and as Texans are disturbed at the actions of the federal government, what they are doing against us, brother, how they're moving, putting all the pieces in place, man,
Yeah.
to someday make a concerted, comprehensive, very far reaching effort to suppress, oppress, and deprive you of your freedom and your rights. You need to be awake.
And the sad thing is, Frank, is that there's people within agencies, law enforcement agencies, brother, that are going for the carrot that's put out in front of them, and blinding themselves. The Bible describes certain people as becoming willfully ignorant, to certain things for the sake of immoral gain, and we see that happening, today all around us. And it's, the folks, there are people out there fighting. We got this convoy going across America right now, headed to D.C. There's the truckers there in Canada. There's people in Ukraine right now that have taken up arms. There are other people trying to stand up for what is right. And sometimes it seems that there's nobody out there fighting, because the media has suppressed so much of what Americans, free will Americans, God fearing Americans are doing.
Well, and so what you need to do, folks, is get involved. Look, the phone. I'm pointing to my phone here, but that right now is a powerful tool. It is a weapon that you can use against the forces of darkness. The phone can be used for good and evil.
Yeah.
As we have talked about propaganda and the narratives, pushing the stories, but by the mainstream media, which is controlled by globalists and people with a dark agenda towards freedom anywhere. But this can also be a weapon of light in your hands, man. So document the truth, speak the truth, speak out against injustice. And as we started out the show with, was our own government in the form of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, moving against those that question facts, that question events. If you don't buy into the story that they're pushing, you are now an enemy of the state.
Right.
You should be looked at, through critical eyes. And as we see them putting those pieces, armed, weaponized pieces in place, you need to be concerned.
Right.
But look, fear not. Fear not, man, because God is with us. He has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. We have a voice, like you were saying. People raise up their voice. We join together. Out of many one.
Right.
Out of many one, we the people.
Amen.
We are the ones that come from a lineage of fighting for freedom.
Right.
Fighting to be free, brother.
I have this comment. Online they're asking, you think the majority of this new me generation is willing to fight? And there are concerns, and I agree with you, but there are concerns about this new generation. But we're also seeing a lot of young people that are leaving the Democratic Party. Yes. They're leaving liberalism and leftism. It takes some time. It takes some convincing. Because the majority of what we see on the media and on the internet, are these young people that are liberal and leftist and going against anything that's free and are willing to give up their rights. But on the same token, there are a lot of young people. My children, they're part of this generation. Very conservative, not just because they grew up in my household, but we're seeing, and they're telling me stories about a lot of their friends that are getting out of the left wing mind and liberal mind set, because they see that their freedoms are being taken away.
And so what it's going to take, unfortunately, Manny, look, what about the young people? Look, I'll tell you what's going to galvanize the young people to a certain extent. Is for them to lose their own freedom, brother.
Yeah.
It may be, so some of us may already be, out of the picture for whatever reason. But once they come for them, I think at that moment, Manny, they will realize that they were on the wrong side, brother.
Yeah.
That what they worked towards, what their vision of a utopian society, or their vision of a communal society, or whatever, uh, it's not what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so, pray for these people, pray for them, but at the same time, circling back to this weapon, this phones, the imagery, what you put out to the world. And so to be responsible as well, Manny, we have to be informed. We have to do our research. We have to speak truth. We don't want to grab stuff out of the air and just, throw stuff out there.
Yeah.
But we can certainly do the research, find out what's happening, and then opinionate, throw out our take on it based on our worldview, based on what we know. And so, certainly, as somebody said here, got to be, centered on the Word of God. Certainly, we're always going to say that as a rabbi, as a minister, but as warriors ready to die, fight, and defend our nation. We're gonna tell you that, stand in the Word of God, but be ready.
Amen. And our viewers should know, or hopefully this is your first time, that Frank and I were both, military veterans, Army, United States Army, and served in the Border Patrol 25, 30 years. And I still have that within me, that freedom fighter heart,
Yeah.
and it's funny, it's interesting, Frank, we have a lot of friends that never served in the military, but I've always asked me these questions, why is it that you guys are so willing to go to war? And it's not like I'm willing to go to war. I'm willing to defend my way of life, my freedoms, my nation, the country that I love, the state that I love. I'm originally from New Mexico, but I've been living here in Texas for over 25 years now. And like the saying goes, I wasn't born here, but I got here as quickly as I could, because in my opinion, Texas is one of the greatest states
Amen, brother.
in the nation, brother. I mean, and what happens here affects the rest of the nation, and then what happens in the United States affects the world. We see it right now on this world global scale of why Putin is doing what he's doing, why these other countries are starting to stand up, because they see that Putin's getting away with all this stuff. They know that Biden's weak. They know that this administration is weak. I mean, he put sanctions on Russia. So what?
Yeah.
I mean, they were expecting that, right?
And the other thing about it, look, folks, you need to be aware. My God, as conservatives, as patriots, be aware. So you see, establishment, hacks like Kevin McCarthy and Tony Gonzalez and others out there talking. That's when they thrive. That's when they flourish, bro. When they're the minority. They can talk and yell and scream all they want, but once they get into power, what is it that they do? And case in point right now, what is Tony Gonzalez doing? He's being a very effective socialist. He voted for gun control. He voted with Nancy Pelosi.
While at the same time, he brings a delegation down here to the border to show them, hey, that what's happening on the border, which he himself is part of the reason it's happening.
It's happening. He was part of the, enticing element, the encouraging element that said, come to Del Rio. The NGOs are going to bring you across. The NGOs are going to, line you up with a ticket. And whenever we can't do that, Congressman Tony Gonzalez, through Air Tony, Tony the Transporter, flew you out of Laughlin Air Force Base on your dime.
On the taxpayer.
On the taxpayer's dime. And so that's Tony Gonzalez for you. And as I said earlier, he's already saying to the Russians, come over. Look, folks, I'm not going to slam all Russians, but come on. We've known now for years that out of Russia, organized crime flourishes. Credit card theft, identity theft. The Ukraine is known for that same thing, as a haven for criminals, even a haven for Nazis, man.
Yeah.
Out there as well. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody there is that way, but look, folks, you need to be aware.
But I'm going to tell you, Frank, we like I spoke earlier in the program, we have Jewish friends of ours that are living over there in Ukraine, and they were actually really, really scared of being targeted simply because they're Jewish. Yeah. And so they're trying to flee. They're trying to get out of that. Yeah. Trying to get out of there, or trying to find some type of protective status because of attitudes in Russia towards the Jewish people.
Well, and part of that, brother, the fleeing part, look, war is indiscriminate. A bomb blows up somewhere, whoever's in the blast radius is going to get indiscriminate of who they are, what they do in life, what they've accomplished, etc. But that's going to lead to displacement. And right now, with what we have seen with Biden, Pelosi in place, with George Soros in the background and using his puppet right here on 823 miles of border in Texas Congressional District 23. Congressman Tony Gonzalez already saying Russians come over. Well, what's going to happen is more money's going to exchange hands, man. You see, look, brother, this is what I started talking about earlier. You can go back to any conflict, and there's a reason that that conflict arose. There's people making money, brother, off of bloodshed. People making money off of death.
Yeah.
People making money off of war.
How many wars did President Trump have, bro?
None.
None,
bro.
Zero.
He did tactical strikes when necessary.
Yeah.
But that's responsible use of your might.
Yeah.
Of your power, of your weapons. Right now, we got everybody there on their mother. Everybody's a neocon right now. Everybody's pushing for war. Send them guns, send them bullets. Why? Because they're salivating at the mouth to make money, bro.
Yeah.
To make money, and so the NGOs like Endeavors, like Baptist Child and Family Services, Catholic Charities, and all these mom and pops, Mission Border Hope, Annunciation House, and so many other NGOs. What's the other one called?
The Valverde Humanitarian Border Coalition.
Yeah, that one, and there's others out there, folks, that are going to use this opportunity to make money because there's a refugee. There's refugees going into the pipeline.
Yep, and that's the way they classify these illegal aliens. They're not migrants, folks. They're
now
illegal
they're refugees, brother.
And they classify them as refugees.
Yeah, so there's money to be made, and
big bank.
It's going to be at our expense, folks. It's going to be put on the back of of us, but your children, your grandchildren. They are purposely driving us into the ground.
Yep. And I was talking with agents this past week, Frank, as well, these past few days as well, and asking if the numbers are going down. They're like, no, the numbers are not going down. They're actually increasing over the weekend, over 2,500, almost 3,000 here in Del Rio sector alone. If you multiply that, and this is a small sector, across Texas, down the border of Texas, almost 3,000, 1,500, 2,000 per day that are coming through,
and then go out into California, Arizona, and New Mexico,
and you go all the way over there. How many people are coming through? Statistics say, they were saying that, showing the stats that over 400 and some thousand gotaways, which is a conservative number because those are the ones that we can see and count. But reality is that there's more that have gotten away, and the numbers are astronomical, folks.
There's all kinds of stuff, brother. I mean, I saw earlier Peter Perez had jumped on. He's down in Carrizo Springs, Dimmitt County. He's been doing a lot of great reporting.
Yeah, thanks for your work there, Pete.
Hey, God bless you all down there. Thanks for watching. Everybody else that's joined in, we thank you for watching. But look, folks, it's a way of life here on the border that should not be. This would not be allowed to take place in the Colony, the Woodlands, or any other posh neighborhood in America. But yet down here in the border, we're having to put up with this because our officials elected up and down this chain have waved the green flag. They've turned on the green light. They put out the welcome mat. And they've said, come on in, use Texas as your doormat, and just, stomp our sovereignty in the mud of the Rio Grande River. Yep. Come on in.
And so as elections are coming up as well, we're having some runoffs in November. The elections are coming up. You need to vote for some strong conservative Republicans or even independents. Patriots, strong patriots that are going to stand up and say no to all this. Just the other day we went out and filmed a car chase that could have ended up really deadly. A vehicle smuggler getting away. Back when we were in, it was mostly the drug smugglers that were running from us. Now it's human smuggling that are trying to run and trying to get away because that's bigger money right now, right? And crashed into the river. This vehicle crashed into the river. You just filmed one the other day that was in the middle of town, right?
It was middle of the town. It was I got a call. Hey, there's some kind of car chase, and so there were about 7 police vehicles at Dairy Queen, right off Veterans Boulevard, very busy. Fortunately, it was a nice Suburban, so it stopped there, just a few feet away from the stop sign. But man, you can only imagine the worst case scenarios going into the middle of traffic, back
and it's packed there, bro. And I see people riding their bikes. I see people walking all the time over there. I hear the sirens in the middle of the night, more sirens than I've ever heard before going through our neighborhood. All these helicopters,
We live like in a militarized zone down
Yeah,
here.
and then we go out there and we try to bring out the truth. We try to film the truth, and we get confronted. We get,
Yeah.
treated like we're the criminals, and
And now the head bosses are saying, hey, we got to look at these people, the dissenters, as potential domestic terrorists or threats to America.
Right.
But look, hey, in no way is this a threat or a slam on the men and women on the ground, brother. The everyday American, everyday Texan that goes to work, puts on that uniform, straps on that gun belt, puts on that body armor. We pray for you. God bless you. God protect you. We love you. We thank you. We're appreciative of what you're doing. We know that your families bear the brunt of the care, the concern, the anxiety. There are people praying for them. And so this weekend, right here in Del Rio, folks, there's going to be an event that we want to make known to you. We were contacted by several folks. We were asked to put this out and we could tell people about what's transpiring here. There's going to be a family day event for people that are in DHS, the frontliners, the boots on the ground. It's being put on by a couple of organizations, and Manny's bringing that on the screen right now. It's the Del Rio Appreciation Tour, right?
right.
And
It's open to DHS law enforcement families, to all DHS law enforcement families. It's going to be Saturday, March 19th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. However, they're looking for volunteers, right, Thursday and Friday?
yeah, they're looking for volunteers, and this says Operation Border Blessing and the BPA. What is that? Network?
BPA Family Network, and it's going to be at Esperanza First, right here on 301 Avenue G. If you live here in Del Rio, that's going to be next to Russell's True Value.
Yeah, it used to be First Baptist Church.
Yeah, it used to be First Baptist, and so they're looking for volunteers for, I think, Thursday and Friday, right? You can get a hold of them.
Yeah, the information's right there. We'll have that up, folks. So they're going to need some people to offload trucks to help set up. They're going to have water slides. They're going to have bouncy castles or whatever they're going to have out there.
For the children, right? Because, PAs, bro. They'll
They will get some free. Hey, man. But it's an appreciation for the men and women of DHS. So if you know any folks that work at the OFO, the Office of Field Operations at the Port of Entry, Air Marine Operations, pilots, vessel commanders, and Border Patrol, of course, the mean green right here, let them know they need volunteers. Maybe you got a youth group, maybe you have a church men's group, the information's there. But and if you're in the Del Rio area, come and join us. I plan on being out there with everybody else, showing appreciation for the men and women who are working hard. They're under tremendous stress, tremendous turmoil, because they know that at the highest levels of government, our nation's being betrayed, and so definitely show your support for them.
And I don't want to forget that, to mention that we also pray for our National Guardsmen that are down here as well. They got a tough job. The mission is very unclear, to a lot of them, and a lot of them are going through some emotional and spiritual and and mental issues as well, because of they're separated from home. They're down here, really no support, and so anyway, continue to pray for them.
And the other thing, before I forget, on the 22nd, right here in Del Rio, folks, the 22nd at the Ramada Ballroom.
I don't have that up.
Yeah, at 6:30. Yeah, there's gonna be a event where you can come meet your candidate. We're gonna have some mayoral candidates, a couple of people at least that are running for office in the mayor capacity. There's gonna be some folks that are running for the school board, and we have said you got to get involved at the school board level. Go up, school board, city council, hospital district, county level. And then on up from there, you've got to get involved. And so it's going to be at the Ramada Ballroom, 6:30 p.m. It's behind Ramada. And I know Manny's looking for the thing here.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up. I guess I thought I had it on our page, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll throw it out there. It's 6:30 p.m. Ramada, Tuesday, the 22nd. We just got word, brother. We've got a candidate for Texas Land Commissioner.
Oh, wow.
That's coming in. And so he's going to be Dr. Tim Wesley. Dr. Tim Wesley is going to be there. And so, folks, he's running for state level. He's actually in a runoff against the establishment anointed hack. And so Don Buckingham. And so Dr. Tim Wesley, come out and meet him. come out. Look, this guy wants to be your land commissioner. There's a lot of responsibility that goes in there, a lot of control over taxpayer dollars that goes into that. And so we're very grateful that Dr. Tim Wesley is going to be in Del Rio at that event. And it should be posted on there, brother. I know I had thrown that.
Yeah, I saw it on your page, and I don't know why it's not pulling up. But anyway, it's going to be the 22nd.
Yeah, it's
right?
going to be down if you keep scrolling there a little bit, because we do want people to see that. We're going to add that. We're going to add a picture to that of Dr. Tim Wesley, so you can see him. But he's going to be here, and then I'll be there. We're going to have a couple of county level candidates are going to be there as well. There it is right there. So they're looking for your support. We're going to give them a few minutes to go up there, introduce themselves. But then what we're doing with this situation here, Manny, we're going to have tables, and they can come out, get a pamphlet, spend one-on-one time with your candidates.
Oh, nice.
And so we're going to add Dr. Tim Wesley to that.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be on the 22nd. And then, so we've got that event going on here at Esperanza Church with appreciative of the DHS personnel, their families. We're going to have this where you can meet candidates. I'm going to be in San Antonio on the 29th, Manny. I'm going to go out there and meet with a group of people that want me to go talk to about my candidacy for Congressional District 23, running against the Soros puppet, Tony Gonzalez here.
And I just want to mention as well that we're more than likely going to be on the air next Tuesday. We're both going to be out. I'm going to actually be at our nation's capital doing some stuff over there with the Border Patrol. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited about that. And so anyway, folks, we really appreciate you, joining us this morning and being a part of our program. We do have a website. Again, I'm going to pull it up there for you, those of you who haven't seen it. It's tacoboutitlive.com. You can go over there and download the podcast that's going to be available later this program or other past programs. We're also on Rumble and YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music as well. You can download the podcast from there. That's going to be available later on and after later on this afternoon. Also, let me just pull this up because for those of you who don't know, Frank is running for office. And he's running as an independent for Congress and CD 23. So, Frank, I'm really excited about that. Yeah. I believe you're, a true patriot, true conservative. And I'm not just saying that because we share the program together, but because I've known Frank for over 20 plus years now. And he's proven to me to be a true conservative and a true patriot. Not only does he love America, but he loves Texas. Yeah, and so, anyway, get out there, support him, go to his website.
Yeah, Frank4CD23.com. Frank4CD23.com.
Right, and you can go there and check him out, get to know him a little bit more, and even donate to the cause.
Amen. Please.
So, folks, I just want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Shout out to all those from Old Patrol HQ that are watching us, to all the old patrollers, and I want to say we appreciate you all. We appreciate all the law enforcement that is watching us as well, and we just want to thank you guys so much for the tough job that you guys are doing.
Yeah, we love you. We appreciate you. We're praying for you all.
And let me go ahead and set up our outro real quick as we are going to say goodbye for this morning. Again, we're probably not going to be on next week, but again, you can download the podcast so you can listen to this program later, and then we'll probably reconvene or resume here, God willing, the week after. Oh, and I just want to say real quick as well to all those who are celebrating Purim, which starts tomorrow. I say Hag Sameach, Hag Purim Sameach, happy Purim. It's a really awesome celebration. It's the Feast of Lots that we read about in the scriptures, and it's amazing because it's one of the only books in the scriptures, the book of Esther. We read the whole book of Esther during that time, and it's one of two books that don't mention the name of God. The other one is the Song of Solomon, but we can see him working. Amen. Yes. We can see him working. We can see his hand upon his people and upon us today. As the scriptures say, for such a time as this. Yeah. Amen. And that's what we're here for, folks. And so we want to say thank you again so much. And so God bless you.
God bless Texas.
God bless America. And God bless Texas.